Okay, this will be our final video. We'll start with number 80 and go through the end. So a pineapple upside down cake recipe calls for 12 pounds of pineapples for 20 servings. So what we can do right away is find out how many pounds are required per serving. So if we do 12 pounds and divide by 20, we get that we need 0.6 pounds per serving. So that's called the unit rate. We just figured out if they need 12 pounds for 20 servings, they need 0.6 pounds for one serving. So then it asks how many pineapples are needed for 45 servings. So to figure that out, we just multiply 0.6 times 45 servings, and we get a total of 27. So they would need 27 pounds of apples to do 45 servings. An M&M package has 44 pieces in it. There's 14 reds, 10 blues, 12 browns, and 8 greens. Write a ratio of each of the following as a fraction in its simplest form. Make sure you read these directions. It's got to be a fraction, and it's got to be simplest form, meaning reduced as far as it can be. So greens, there's 8 greens, to the total number of candies. So these can both be divided by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 44 divided by 4 is 11. Then we do blues, which is 10, to reds, which is 14. They're both even numbers, so we can divide them both by 2, and we get 5 over 7. Okay, greens to browns. Greens, there are 8. Browns, there are 12. Those are both divisible by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And finally, browns to reds. So we got 12 browns, 14 reds. Those are both even. 2 is the only thing they have in common. So we divide 12 by 2 and divide 14 by 2. Okay, express the unit rate if it costs $32.50 to buy 5 T-bone steaks. So to do that, you simply divide, because if it costs $32.50 to do 5 T-bone steaks, you just divide them by 5, and we do that. You can do it with the calculator. You find out it's $6.50 per T-bone. Right, determine whether ratios in these two are proportional or not proportional, and explain. So to do that, we need to look at these as fractions, treat them as fractions. So 2x over 16 can be reduced to 1 over 8, because 2 divided by 2 is 1, 16 divided by 2 is 8. Okay, this can also be reduced to 1/8, because 3 divided by 3 is 1, 24 divided by 3 is 8. Okay, we can divide these both by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 40 divided by 5 is 8. So we're good so far. These are both divisible by 8. So 8 divided by 1 is, 8 divided by 8 is 1. 64 divided by 8 is 8. So since all those rates are the same, we say yes, it's proportional. So yes, proportional. And the reason you say, or the explanation you give, is the rates are all equal. Or you can say they're all the same. That's fine too. The rates are all equal. So let's see if that holds true over here on 84. So this one is already fully reduced, is 1/3. These are both divisible by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So far they match. 6 and 20, I think the biggest number that goes into both of them is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So we see they are not a match. Now this one will reduce to 1/3, divide them both by 8. But they all have to match to be proportional. So non-proportional. And the explanation is all the rates are not equal. Or you can say all the rates are not the same. That would be fine to say. All right, last page. I'll try to leave it open so I can refer to the chart when needed. Well, I'll wait till I get down there. Okay, it's 85 through 90, we're doing proportions. So you want to make sure when you set up a proportion, it honestly doesn't matter very much what you put on top. Like I know we say money always goes first. So you might say, oh, well, I should put 84 on top and 25 on the bottom. That's completely fine if you do that. But when it comes to proportions, all that matters is that you are consistent. So if you put money on top for the first equation, you've got to put money, I say first fraction or first ratio. You've got to put money on top for the second one also. So since we put $84 over 25 pounds, we put $142 over X pounds. So we said money has to come first because when we're doing unit rates or ratios, that's when money has to come first. For a proportion, as long as you are consistent putting the same thing always on top or as on the bottom, you'll be fine. So we cross multiply, we get 84x equals 25 times 142 is 3550. Then we divide both sides by 84. That gives us x equals 42.3 pounds. So you can buy 42.3 pounds of fertilizer for $142. 86. 23 miles on 1 gallon of gas. 393 miles on X gallons of gas. So we'll cross multiply. Then divide both sides by 23. And we get X equals 17.1 gallons. Sorry for my sniffles. Okay, a coach is ordering burgers for a team party. He knows 18 burgers will feed 12 students. So 18 burgers, 12 students. If there are 30 students, so here's what I'm talking about where it's important to make sure you put things on the same side. I put the burgers on top, and I put the students on the bottom. We'll just call them studs, that's better. So the second piece of info gives us the number of students. So since I put students on the bottom in this fraction, I have to put students in the bottom on this fraction too. What I don't know is how many burgers will be needed for 30 students. So I could have gotten this correct also by doing 12 over 18 equals 30 over x. Because if you look, when you cross multiply, you still get 12 times x, 12 times x, 18 times 30, 18 times 30, which is 540. So it doesn't actually matter which one you start with being on top or bottom, as long as you're consistent with, if you put one unit on top here, got to put the same unit on top over here. So I divide both sides by 12, and I get x equals 45 burgers. '88. The wait time for pictures with Taylor Swift is 45 minutes when there are 60 people in line. So minutes is on top, people on the bottom. So how long is the wait time when 145 people are in line? So I put 145 down here because that's where I decided to put people was in the denominator. So then I cross multiply, 60 times x equals, or excuse me, shouldn't have that yet, 45 times 145, which is 6525. And then I divide both sides by 60. And I get that the wait time will be 108.8 minutes. Okay, Mrs. B paid $48 for 3 students to enter an essay contest. Find the cost, that's money, for 16 students. So we put the money on top both times, and we put the number of students on the bottom both times. 3 times x, and 48 times 16 is equal to 768. So we divide both sides by 3, and we get $256. Mary paid $36.18 for 4 months of Spotify Premium. Find the cost of 9 months at that rate. So since we put months on the bottom here, got to put months on the bottom here. So we cross multiply. 9 times 36.18 is 325.62. Then we divide both sides by 4. And we get $81.41. For our last 4, we will have to use the conversion, and we are allowed to use this table over here. And this table will be provided for you for any questions that require conversion of this type. So first, they ask us to convert yards to meters. In fact, I've got another copy of that, so let's just do that. Okay, yards to meters. So as we look at this, yards to meters, we see that comes right here. So 1 yard is equivalent to 0.914 meters. So I say 8 yards, I put that over 1, and then I multiply that by 1 yard on the bottom and 0.914 meters on the top. Again, we put things so that the units will cancel out. Since we started with 8 yards, we put yard on the bottom over here so that just the yards, just the unit cancels out. And we do 8 times 0.914. And we round to the nearest hundredth, so we say 8.75 meters. Okay, 92, converting milliliters to fluid ounces. So that's in the capacity section, milliliters to fluid ounces. And you can use either one of these. That's up to you. Since I have this one marked, I'll just use that one. But it's not wrong if you choose this one instead. So 0.034. So 21 milliliters over 1 is 1 milliliter. 0.034 fluid ounces. I ran out of room to write that, but it's written right there. So I do 21 times 0.034, and I get 0.71 fluid ounces. '93, we're converting kilometers to miles. So I'll start by writing 23 kilometers over 1 times, and we see kilometers to miles here. I chose to use this one. If you chose this one, that's also okay. You can use either one. But we say 1 kilometer is 0.621 miles. So I put 1 kilometer on the bottom because I want the kilometers to cancel. I put 0.621 miles on top because miles is what I want to keep. So 23 times 0.621 tells us that it's equivalent to 14.28 miles. Okay, last one, we're wanting to convert pounds to kilograms. So that's at the very bottom, pounds to kilograms. So we see here 1 pound is equivalent to 0.454 kilograms. So 25 pounds and 1 pound is equivalent to 0.454 kilograms. So we cross out the pounds, we multiply 25 times 0.454 to get our final answer, 11.35 kilograms. I would encourage you guys to at least read through this after you finished it, if not try it again. And if you will get this from on your mind, you're going to do awesome on the exam.